Australia overnight. Now, the other day, my phone lit up and I looked down and I thought to myself, I haven't heard from this person for ages. We started together in community radio when I was 17. It was Robert Darby, who we can talk to soon. He's on the line. We got talking and we spoke about Robert's latest song, The Saddler Man. So, Robert, you sit there. Let me play a little grab of this song and then we'll meet Robert Darby on Australia overnight. Here it is.
Old Lansfield Road inside Wood End was the farm of my saddler friend. Fine were the saddles that he made, but as a jack he knew all the trades. His words of wisdom were foundations that he laid. Worked every hour of the day. All through the night we'd sing and play. His guitar was tuned to open A. He learned to play it while he was away. Back when they called him up and sent him to Vietnam.
Oh, the more I hear it, Robert, the more I just enjoy listening to that one. Robert Darby, welcome to Australia overnight. Yeah,
that's a good song. You should have that bloke on who did that one. Yeah.
Did you like my intro? The phone rang. I looked down, and there it was, Robert Darby. After all these years,
I did, yes, and it's kind of a little bit spooky because you were 17 when I met you.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I met the Saddler Man when I was 17. Whoa!
Oh, wow! There you go. There you go. And the song tells that story beautifully. How you met this man when you were 17, the influence he had on you. And then now, as an older person looking back and thinking about him. So tell us about this song and about the Saddler Man, who's John Myles Cheney.
Well, he lived in Wood End in Victoria. I think actually I met him a little bit before that because years later he said, I think when I met you, I think I needed to sit you down and calm you down a bit, boy.
Yeah.
Fluffy face boy. So he had served in Vietnam. He was a young man who was called up. He came back from that, and there was a period where there was a certain bit of readjustment.
Yes.
And he'd always worked on the land and that sort of thing. So when I met him in his shed in Wood End, he custom made saddles for people. He worked with like earth moving equipment, and he had a sort of a small farm.
Yeah.
So he was a real, Aussie bloke of the land. But his passion there was that he always wanted to have his country band. He wasn't looking to be, a mega star. He just wanted to be able to go out and play, and that was his dream. And
gotcha.
And so, there were a lot of local musicians at different times that went through the band, and he kind of approached the band the way he approached the rest of life. He was diligent and he was a battler.
Yeah. And
became quite sort of popular in the area. And as we got to know each other, then I sort of got to hear about his story of his time in Vietnam and coming back. And, a lot of the Vietnam vets did suffer a bit of a shunning because, it was sort of, you come back and then it was all sort of a bit awkward and stuff. And,
yes.
They were overlooked for quite some time. But he soldiered on, and before I'd left the band, he left quite a mark on me.
Yes.
I do have to say that.
So now, do you look back and you feel a bit like he felt the song? What inspired you to write the song? So you're a young man. You've met this person. He's a musician, like you were then and now, an older musician, and. Carving your way. Well, not carving your way, but you've got your own profile and all that. So in a way, am I making some assumptions here? You project forward, this 17-year-old who wanted to be a musician is a bit like the Saddler Man now.
Well, it sort of is, and eventually I got a bit older, and the lure of the big lights of the city. So, I departed the band, and the thing with him was loyalty and things like that. So when I had to leave, I sat down and I said, no, I won't leave you in the lurch. I'll make sure that everything runs smoothly. And he was like, well, you're very honourable, because of that. Then, from time to time over the years, we would be in contact. And then eventually he became ill and he passed away in 2010.
Yeah.
And I played 3 songs in the church for him in his honour.
Yes.
And someone asked me the other day, they said, well, he passed away in 2010, so how come suddenly now you would write the song? I wrote the song about halfway through last year. And it had always been on my mind, one day I will write a song about him. But you are correct in the fact that as an almost 60-year-old, it probably did take that length of time to be able to capture it from now a person who hopefully has some more maturity. I'm sure it'll kick in any time soon. And so I don't think I would have been able to come up with that song any time sooner. There's something about, like, I write a lot of songs in different styles, but every now and again something like that one comes along and it has sort of gravitas, and it had to be at that time. I mean, Keith Richards from the Rolling Stones sometimes says, well, I feel like I'm just a vehicle, channeling the songs.
Yes. For
some reason, the time was right to pen the song. And it's been really good because one of his friends who we met in Vietnam has heard the song and sort of went, wow, that's very emotional and a very accurate description. And John's wife was also informed of the song, and she's left a lovely message on my YouTube channel, and she called me and said, thank you, so it was sort of validation, because you do sometimes wonder, you think, oh, I hope I'm not overstepping the mark here, but no, it's been quite wonderful. It's kind of, a bit spooky. But,
right. Okay. A bit spooky because of the whole sort of experience of it all. Australia Overnight, we're talking with Robert Darby, musician, about his new song, The Saddler Man. Now, you described John Myles Cheney, you met him. It made me think about, as a young man, and it's interesting, you said that when we first met, I was 17 and you were one of the older people at the radio station. You need adults, good people in your life to lead you the right way. I've got 3 teenagers now, and I know that I was lucky enough to meet people like you at the radio station, others, who just led me on the way. Others sort of, pulled me up and said, this is not the way to do things. So, is he of that generation, somebody who said, because you're a bit, I know you could be a bit wild and out there, who sort of, came to you and was, not tough, but just one of those guys that said, this is the way to act and live, and you were just inspired by that, I guess. Yeah, well, if you remember the old TV show MASH, Colonel Potter once said of some doctor or something, he said, he had a lot of horse sense. Yeah. And that would have been the thing about John Myles Cheney, is he had a lot of horse sense, because, what's the song? I get knocked down, but I get up again. And he had such a varied life with ups and downs and things. So he did have that effect. I mean, he could just quietly give you some advice, and it's, okay, I got it. You couldn't fault the man, because he did have a lot of horse sense, which is kind of good if you make saddles, I suppose. That's right. I met the guy when I first started at the 9 Radio Network at 3AW. I worked with the footy guys, the sport guys. So there was a lot of sort of older footy players. I mean, Ron Barassi would come in and out, but I didn't have it. But he's an example of, just these guys, Robert Walls, another person, was a big influence on me. Yeah, really strong leaders. I'm going to say tough guys. I know it's not all about being tough, but just men with integrity that knew what they thought and felt, and just acted, lived their lives that way. And I just loved it. They were good men. Well, I think that old saying, they don't have to demand respect; they command respect, because that does come through the wisdom of the years. And so, it was inspiring. Sometimes at the time, maybe a lot of it sometimes passes over your head. It is only when it eventually sinks in, and and you would know. I mean, you were a young chap, and now you're a sort of middle-aged chap, and you have experiences through life, and I guess it's one of those things, you take things a little more in your stride. Yeah.
and it's it's like, listen, we're all heading for the same place, and so hopefully as we run our race, we learn a few things, we impart a few things. And
was I always this deep thinker? I feel like I've dragged you into this deep philosophical conversation. You're thinking, oh, I've got more than I bargained for coming on Australia Overnight. Sorry.
No, I do remember. I do remember. I even remember saying to you, I remember when you were younger saying, oh, well, I don't know if, I cut it in radio or stuff. And it's always that thing when you work sort of in the medium of rock and roll or radio where people are going to say, go get a real job.
Yes.
But I'd always said of you as a young chap, oh no, you will go far. In fact, out of many of us in this place.
Oh my God! Thank you for saying that.
Keep your money on Pat because he will do it. And there were people there. Oh no, well he's just a kid. But in the fullness of time, that was true.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, I never felt that, and it's nice to know, or interesting to hear you say that. Yeah, I think I've just hung around and persisted, and I've been knocked around like all of us in life, and the media can be a bit of a rocky ride. So yeah, no, I'm still here. Yep.
Well, it can, and often the people you meet when they don't have the influence, they don't have all of those things, and you see them as being genuine people. You see. And that's where I guess you get to meet the more genuine people, because they're not out big noting themselves. I mean, you put in and you cut your teeth and you learned along the way, and look, history proves it. So,
thank you, Robert. I mean, sort of, that's right. I'm still enjoying this. I know that you had many years in radio as well, and as an artist and as a performer, and you do get better as you get older, Robert. I mean, this song is wonderful. You've always created great music. The other day in the paper, they were talking about the prime age, or the peak age was 51. They did a survey. And people felt like 51 was the time they sort of peaked, the peak of their powers. Yeah. But you get better, don't you?
Well, you either get better or you stop doing it, or perhaps you delude yourself that you're getting better. But I think that is the thing where with many learned people, they don't necessarily have to be into university or anything. I think that just the time comes that when you say, I know it all, is when you just stop learning. My son is 18. He plays around Melbourne. His name's Robert Darby, and he has some amazing gifts. And, I'm able to bring him in as my music consultant. And, he knows a lot of stuff. And, as his dad, I could be saying, oh, shut up, you don't know anything. But the truth is he does. And so it's one of those things where, you've always got to keep your eyes and ears open. You should never think that you should stop learning. And I think you should carry that right the way through. And the music biz is a tough biz, because these days it's never been so easy to be able to release things because of the internet. But then on the other hand, it's never been so hard to so much as make $1 from it, because this song, which everyone can hear for free on Robert Darby original songs on YouTube, in a few weeks it will make the streaming platforms. Right. But, so these days, you've got a chance of being heard all over the place. But, every time someone clicks on your little stream there, you might be making 0.0003 cents or something. Yeah. And so on one hand, it's never been so easy, and on the other hand, it's never been so difficult.
Yes, I've heard some horror stories about streaming on Spotify, and there's tons and tons of streaming, and you get $50. And it's like, a billion streams.
It is a whole different ballgame. I mean, back then, not so long ago, the record companies were the gatekeepers, and that could be a frustrating thing to try and break through that. Well, now the streaming companies are sort of the gatekeepers, but they're sort of like everyone's welcome, and they make money from you whether you're hugely successful or not, because they do make the money. But then on the other hand, it's a question of what they give you. And Spotify recently came out and said, well, if you've got less than 1,000 streams, don't expect anything. But, they are still keeping all those tiny little pennies. And if you add that up over the world, what do they say every day on the internet? Was it 30 or 40,000 new songs join the internet? Now, if they're getting a tiny little nibble of those, for them, it's good money in amongst the Neil Youngs and the Billy Joels and all that.
Yes.
But so, but look, I would say to anyone, it's not too late. And the actual art's the important thing. You know, if you want to paint or draw or write songs or go down to your local little radio station there because you want to have a go at it, then do it. There are tons of people who'll tell you, oh, it's a waste of time, but don't listen to them. Just do it.
Couldn't agree more.
Just do it, you know, and achieve. So
it's its own reward, as they say. The art is its own reward. The act of doing it has some, you know, it's not about a big payday or anything. It's it's giving to others, I guess, your art, or sort of expressing yourself in your own unique way for others to consume and experience and whatever.
Well, that would have been the thing with John Cheney, or Chene as he was known. I mean, that was him. He was like he just gave stuff a go, and there would have been a lot of people who would have said, well, you're not good enough to be in this band, you know, because he only played in open A. He didn't know the other way of playing, but he did not let that stop him. And that's where someone like him was a good inspiration, because, you know, and it's, as I say, different world now, you know, things just rapidly change so quickly. I mean, the world of social media, all of those things, it's quite bewildering, you know, when as a 5-year-old, I was still playing my grandparents' 78 RPMs.
Yeah.
You know, and look at us.
Rocketed. Yeah, that's right. Can you, well, you know, now, I mean, it's mind-boggling. Now, do you talk to Cheens occasionally? Do you sort of... you know, do you sort of send him a few messages? I'm just thinking, if you could talk to him today, what would you say to him? But you probably talk to him all the time.
Psychically, well, in the last verse of the song, when I say I felt him standing by my side at his funeral. Now, people would say, whoa, that's very esoteric. Although I felt more like he was actually standing there and saying, now, don't mess this up, boy. Come on, you've got one shot at this. Come on, don't mess it up.
Wonderful.
But I, you know, when I was writing, I've got to say, I mean, the song is an absolute tearjerker, and for the whole process of it, sitting there and all the steps along the way, I've had so many times where I've just had so many tears. And they are the times when I do feel that, on one hand, he would say, you know, good on you for doing that. And then on the other hand, he might have said, oh, I don't know if I'm worth all that fuss, because he would have had a certain self-deprecation. But I do think he would have been happy. And I know that the people who are close to him have all given me the thumbs up. And just something about it. I mean, I don't know what it says. Like, if I went under a bus tomorrow, I would feel that I'm so glad that the song has been released. It's not just sitting on a hard drive somewhere, and I didn't finish it. Nice because it is, to me, one of those songs. It's one of those rare ones. As I say, I write a lot of songs, but this one
came from a special place. Yeah, good on you, Robert.
It did. Yeah, it did.
We're going to play it next. Actually, we'll go away for a tick in, you know, commercial radio. That's right. You did your time in commercial radio. We'll play a commercial break and come back.
Thank you, Pat.
No worries.
Thank you to the station and everything. Thank you so much.